Hi, it's Xavier, and welcome to my bonsai retreat, and also welcome to Tony's Bonsai Special. This is the first edition, or whatever we're going to call it, where I actually go in depth and have a look at Tony's trees, and also get a chance to see what other people may well be doing with them too. So particularly that'll be, just heads up, that'll be Russ and Mandy, who sent me some pictures through at the moment. So we'll do a bit of a catch up. Now I know right at this point Tony is still actually putting out little snippets of content of the stuff that he's doing to keep himself occupied. Always good to have busy fingers, Tony, that's what I always say. Thoughts remain with you, and keep on setting a good example. I've been doing some research on the trees that I picked up, and these are just some of them. I'd love to say they're all fantastically healthy, but I thought I'd better get this update out now because the silver birch forest isn't looking so happy. But I'm going to be doing some work on the clump Zelkova. I'll be talking a little bit about the Hawthorn with the split trunk technique that Tony's pioneered, and talk a little bit about the Colorado blue spruce as well. So there'll be some work done, but we'll also just talk about probably time scales for when we're going to see individual big updates. So without much further ado, let's crack on into Tony's Special Edition 1. Okay, so I think the best thing to do is to give you a short reminder of when this was actually done. Obviously it's a Hawthorn. I've given it a load of treatment a couple of weeks ago with some fungal spray, and although we've got lots of nice greenery, which suggests that the trunk splitting hasn't actually destroyed it, which is one of Tony's first fears, there is still little signs in just a few places of the remnants of the spores from the red cedar rust. Bottom line is, whatever it was going to do, it's done, it's moved on, and I think we're going to be safe to carry on with this because, well, if anything's infected, it's all infected. So let's just crack on. Now, Tony first went with this experiment after watching Peter Chan at length using branch splitters, and in fact you may well have seen me using branch splitters just the episode before on something entirely different, but if not, you'll be seeing it next. And his premise was that to take this very straight and not very exciting Hawthorn, he was going to get some movement in it, but by using the splitting technique. Now, as what I was saying, is what Tony did is not only split horizontally there all the way through, he also split vertically all the way through, essentially quartering the trunk. And then he also managed to get a nice big chisel in there and gouge it apart and split the fibres so that you get a lot more flexibility. And then he's used his favourite vet tape and put in a bit of twist and bend into it. Now that was only done, let's say, April 16th, so I'm not going to look at that for at least a year. I will probably take that tape off next year. As I see it, we want to give that every opportunity to heal as best as it's going to, and then we'll have a look and see what sort of gaps there are. While we're in close, one of the things that Tony talked about in his video was this rather unique crow's foot or chicken's foot. Now, it's been the best part of 3 months. What we do have to watch out for is whether or not this is actually marking, and I've got a funny feeling it is. Certainly the wire here is digging in, and this is one of the issues we've definitely got here. So I'm going to have to release that, or, well, I'm either going to have to release that wire or accept that branch is going to be sacrificed, because I can see quite clearly it's dug in to the depth of the wire there. So I think probably the best thing to do there is to treat that in the end as just basically the holding sacrifice, and whatever we do is going to be happening down here. Bigger concern is here. I think we're going to find the other area we need to look at, oh, they're prickly, is here, and just make sure that's not digging in. So I'm just going to pull down. Okay, so we've definitely got a groove that's don't know if you can see it, we've definitely got a groove that's forming just there. Hang on, maybe I can just, there we go. I'll just take it further down. Alright, I mean there was a slight bruising there, nothing major. I'm not worried about that particularly. So I've just moved it a little bit further up. In terms of the angle, it's pretty 90 degrees, but I think primarily we want to see how that experiment worked out. What it does look like though is there's definitely some fusing of that trunk there. So yeah, in fact let's have a look closer on other places. Now, one of the other things that I am concerned about is if you look at the, I mean the bend isn't so bad there, it is bordering on a 90 degree, actually it's not too bad there. I think this is all going to be about the potting angle when I finally get it out of this and into a different pot. Because there is I quite like the thought of having it more like that. So this crow's foot and the angle here, and then up here, and then growing up this main trunk here. I can see that being a line on it, a lot more upright. But time will tell. I mean, bottom line is, all this growth is extending and looks as though it's fairly healthy. And if it's healthy, that means the work that Tony did back in April, splitting that trunk right up, hasn't actually killed the tree. So that's got to be good. What I do want to do is make sure that the soil itself, it looks like it's basically just standard dirt, which not a problem, but I do want to make sure it hasn't turned into a great big clay pot, or that it's not stopping good percolation or water movement. Get rid of rocks. We'll obviously be feeding this up now. I'm working the assumption this is healthy, and that growth suggests it is. It has got a fungal infection, so I don't lose anything by removing quite a bit of growth. Now, if I was talking about it being up that way, then I've already said that this branch here is sacrifice anyway. So let's get rid of it. We've got this great big one here, and then we've got this little one here. There's some crossing going on here. Now to aid healing, I'm actually going to keep the big branch, but if I look at the direction of where this is going to potentially go, this is the branch that I'll be using. Then we'll have this one coming out that way and potentially that one. So I think to initially remove that one. So what we want to make sure is we don't have 2s or 3s from the same point. So we're not going to have this one. Let's get that one out of the way. Just trying to decide which of either this one or this one I want. And we've got, as we've equally got a branch either side there, it's the same. And I'm not going to know until I decide how to do the potting angle, really. That in itself isn't going to cause big taper issues at this stage anyway, inverse taper. Do you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to wire out both these two branches and potentially these two branches and just see how they position. And I can potentially then make a decision about which one I lose in a few more months' time. But I'm going to continue to remove any of that horrible disease stuff. And obviously anything that's diseased gets disposed of quickly. I'll come back when I've got those wired and I'll put some movement in. Okay, well hopefully you see that it's sort of, that is the front because of the way the crow's feet work. That will probably come forward a lot more, but I've actually wired out both. And I think what we're going to do is just play around. Just a bit of slight movement. It's going to be further up. That's the way we want that branch out. Just a little bit of movement for now. We'll do the same with this one. Very, very artificial, I know, but I did actually notice they don't actually come from the same point in the trunk. So they could actually work well together. And the good thing about Hawthorn is you can get it budding from all over the place, so you know, this is just me playing really. Just playing. Oh, did I mention I hate juniper a lot because they're prickly? I've decided I hate Hawthorn even more. So I'm just going to get the other ones into place. What we're going to avoid doing is actually paralleling, mirroring each of them. We probably want that one to come over a lot more. It's already pointing back, so it's difficult to bring it forwards. Or maybe I take it as a proper back branch. Looks weird from the back, looks like rocket engines, doesn't it? Where on earth did I come up with rocket engines from? I suppose we need to cut some of this back. As I say, I'm confident about doing some cutting back now, because I think if after 3 or 4 months this is still showing growth, and it means the splitting of those trunks hasn't caused the sort of damage that you might have expected or Tony might have been worried about. So I'm now assuming it's fine, and just cut back a little bit so that we can actually try and create just a wee bit of ramification on it. And it could be, I don't know, maybe I'll actually bring it down. Shall I put some wire on that? Why not? In for a penny, in for a pound. I'll get the wire on, do a little bit of bending and come back to you when I'm done it. Okay, so chucked a bit of movement into that, played around with a little bit with that. Just giving you a sense of where I think I'm going to go with this. That's going to be what I'm thinking of. It's either that, or we're going all the way around. We're having a front there. Don't like that as much. We may well still lose one of these lower branches, but mainly because the root structure down there is nowhere near as appealing with this great big lump here, and it's very flat there. So I'm going definitely somewhere in there. Then you get the crow's foot coming towards you. It's more interesting. So that's my initial styling. Tony, if you're here to watch this, thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up would be nice, but yeah, that's all we'll go for now. I'm going to give it another spray with the antifungal, and then I'm going to feed it up and let it go for the remainder of the growing season, completely unchecked. Right, I'm going to move on to something else, and I think it might be the Zelkova. Okay, well the next one I'm going to be looking at is this Triple Trunk Zelkova. It's been deliberately allowed to grow out because I watched Tony's video. Okay, this Zelkova was a relatively new thing for Tony back in 2022, I think. I get the impression he put this together, which I don't know whether it's a triple trunk or whether it's, I mean, it looks like all three are together. So when I have a look next year, when I actually do a first repot on it, we'll get to see whether it's triple trunk. But they certainly look held together, that's for sure. When you shake them, they move as one. So I'm assuming it's a triple trunk. Triple trunk? It's a triple trunk. But from what I can see from his video, which is up there, he pruned hard just as the new shoots were coming up. So what happened is that all the energy the tree was putting into producing those shoots, as he quite rightly points out from what he learned, he cut them off before they had a chance to actually act as solar panels and put strength back into the roots. So the end result was, I think he spent all 2022 sulking this tree did, and didn't do any growth at all. This year, April 28th, he followed Peter Warren's video advice, and that's where he just took the growing tips off, which is right at the top, and left the height there so that they could act as solar panels. And then his intention was 3 to 4 weeks later, which would have been middle of May, end of May, he was then going to come back and do a hard prune. Obviously events overtook themselves and that hard prune hasn't happened, but hey, what are we now, into July? I'm quite happy that the energy is all there, lots of flushing, I'm going to prune back this pretty hard so that we can get light into there and actually stop. What we want to stop happening is killing off the internal growth, which is one of the reasons we do semi-defoliations, full defoliations, stuff like that. The other big concern Tony had was the amount of scarring here. He took some branches off and he wanted to make sure there's enough energy to heal this scarring here, and it's certainly looking to heal over, so I'm less worried about that. That seems to have actually, there's also one on the back of this branch here, but you know, I don't think it's a big issue, and it's not something I need to look at right now. I think when I get it out of this and we can actually examine this properly, I'll have a better feel for what's going on. But right now I just want to get some light into this canopy. Starting at the top, we can get all the top stuff all the way back. And I'm literally going to be taking it as far back as I can. Have a look where you've got here, in here, this is coming from right inside there. That's not ever going to get any light. But it's impossible to tell because there's so much growth in there. I'm going to work my way through this, open it up a bit, and then I'll bring you back at different intervals just to show you where I've got. And it is literally just a case of opening it right out so we can see what sort of structure we've potentially got in there. And then building it, because in the end I think it still needs to be built, otherwise all we're going to do is do a bowl cut over the top and ignore what's going on inside. I said in the show it's going from the top, seems a little point, there's a lot of heavy growth there. I actually need to establish base levels and layers, so that's what I've been working on here, and just trying to resolve where the growth is that we're not going to want down here, because once I establish that line I can then bring it in and start pulling away a lot of this growth here. And yes, if I want to, I can take cuttings as well. And this will be very much like Chinese elm, so I imagine it's going to bud out really well. Nice and healthy, that's for sure. Now the other question that will happen at some point is deciding whether or not I actually want that lower branch down there, and whether I want to raise the height here so we can see a lot more. It all depends how that wound heals, to be honest, because I may be using a lower branch to actually hide. And there we go, we can see we're already starting to clear that branch line up, which is what we need to do, and I'll keep working my way around. Again, this one itself is coming out quite a long way here. We probably want to remove that, so now we've got that a nice shortened branch there. We'll work with that. Crotch growth, anything in here I'm removing. I'm thinking that's probably too low, but I'll keep it for now. And again, just to make you see where some of the easy decisions are, look at this great mat here. Got this great big thing here growing up. That will never be wanted. So we can remove that, and already you can see we can start seeing in, and that makes it easier to define our branch structure. Now I'm going to go back quite hard, so you know it's trying to make those easy decisions. Back to 2 bud points a lot of the time, and in fact that branch is crossing over this one. I may end up removing this branch. In fact, I will. The more I look at it. So we want to be able to see, imagine when this is lifted up, being able to see into there properly. And it means it'll grow properly as well. So a little growth like here, that's going to die out. So let's remove it now. Here, we don't want it going under that way, we want it coming forwards. Again, we've got an opportunity here. Rather than continuing this one. Let's remove that. So we've got a new direction there, and we also get taper on it. Well, as you can see, I've gone quite some way. Really have cut back hard. I may end up cutting this one back, but you can see now, we can see into it, which means light's getting into it, and I want to see exactly how well they respond. And if it's, to be fair, if it's anything like any elms, it'll respond very, very vigorously and very, very well. So, you know, we're already defining this lower branch structure, which is going to set obviously the height that I can bring it back here. And I'll probably take quite a lot of the top off these. And as I said earlier, definitely cuttings if that's what you want. But yeah, okay. Quite a lot further now, and it really is getting a bit naked. But I think you can get the idea of what I did. You sometimes have to go all the way back. Tony gave it that year of burst of health to try and start putting some vigor back into the trunk. But now, gosh, the wind. It's the wind. Toto, Toto, where's the wicked witch of the west, of the north, of the east? It's blowing all my hair everywhere. Gale force winds. Anyway, it's not a great day for filming actually. So yeah, so we're nearly there. You can actually see the structure, and I will probably definitely open up some of these again, but actually quite natural, some of the healing, to be fair. I think that's working out alright. So I'll just take this top off. We'll come back when that's done, shall we? And so I'm pretty well sorted out here. This is going to come all the way back. And all I really want to do is bring these all the way back to 2 buds. Pretty nice to use sharp cutters actually. I mean, we look at this, that's a really long branch. I'd probably want to bring that actually back quite a lot further back. But I'm not going to do it right now, but what I will do is where I've got junctions with 2, I'll come back to those junctions. And here, 1, 2, so I could probably take it all the way back to that. Same down here, 1, 2, take it all the way back. Take that one all the way back. Where's that coming from? It's coming from under here. We'll take it all the way back there. And all I'm doing is trying to reduce the internodal distances, so these actually start looking a little more natural. So now we've got a nice pad we can form there, and I can actually see, because of the way this structure is here, I could actually end up taking this big thick one off to try and create taper going upwards, and now is probably the time to do it. So we'll do that. I could seriously think about taking that off. That's all been pruned really heavily back. You can see right in there. Give it a spin. And truly, probably the front might be in there, I don't know. Truly, the way I work with these, I do with Chinese elm. My principle is always, they bud well when they're healthy. Go back hard when you initially get something, so you can define a basic primary structure. And often that means removing 50–60% of the branch work that's there, and then re-establish the new structure how you want it before the rain comes. So that's Tony's Zelkova. Hopefully you're happy with that, mate. And I suppose what I will do now is, part of this is going to be involved in anyone else who's got some of Tony's trees, and if they've come through and updated me on what they're doing with either pictures or even video. Quite happy you can send video, small files via Gmail, or you can use WeTransfer to my Gmail address. So first of all, let's go over to Mandy's picture, and this is one of the hornbeam. And then I think she's supervising her hubby, who's going to be busy with some ideas with the juniper. And then also Russ, he also picked up a Blau juniper, and he's done a little bit of work on that. So thanks for those updates. Please, if you have got some of Tony's trees, update me, let me know so I can show them on the Tony specials. Right, let's go back to a few other things and then I think we're done. Okay, February the 7th, Tony took this Colorado blue spruces, put them in this old bit of flue from his building works. Yeah, so he's wired all the roots in there, and the whole idea is that next year, probably February, I might expose with Alex, who's got one of these as his. We'll start looking and see how those roots are developing in there. But I've been doing a little bit of looking on spruce, and well, Harry Harrington says they're a bit of a nightmare to look after and very difficult as bonsai, which might be why I've never actually really bothered with one in the past. I need to leave these. Yeah, I mean, the first time that we can really do very much with them is in the sort of August time, when we can do a bit of needle plucking, we can do a little bit of wiring, but it all depends on whether or not buds have come out. And truthfully, there hasn't been a lot of growth on this, so I think we may be watching this for the year and seeing where we are next. I mean, if we'd had some obvious new bud growth from places and extensions, then the August time I could do a bit of needle plucking, a bit like pines, where you pluck the last year's needles, you can often get back budding. But yeah, I think I just need to keep these somewhere safe and see what happens with them. But I don't think we'll see any work on them this year. And obviously I also picked up this, which is a field maple. I'm just going to prune back heavily, and then you'll see this probably next year when I do a repot. And the sad news, I think, really comes to do with the silver birch forest, which I'll throw up now. So the last thing that we're going to talk about in this this special is the silver birch forest. And as you can see, I think that's dead. I'm pretty sure that one is dead also. This one, we've got life at different places on it. That's dead there. So we've got growth around the top. This big one here, lovely, lovely, lovely. But we've got nothing all the way until we get to the top. And again, with these, this looks pretty good. This has got some life in it, and this back one here, that's feeling dead, looking dead. And I think the sort of response we're getting, the best way can be show it on this one. Right down here, lots of little buds, and often with silver birch, when they're like this, you cut back or you're looking for that lower growth to come up, and as soon as I start seeing some stuff coming up, I may well cut all of these off. But for now, it's just going to go somewhere in semi-shade and watch and see what the tree does. It could be easy for me to say, you know what, I'll cut lots of stuff back, but I just need to watch and see what it does, to be fair. It's a shame, but as I say, it must be the silver birch curse. As soon as it comes anywhere near me, even if it was on its way out when I picked it up, by the time I got it here, it got hit by the silver birch Grantham curse. Anyway, I do also have to do my update on the challenge trees. I've got my larch back. All I need to do is cut these all the way back. These just need cutting right back, so I'll do that. But again, this one looks like it's needing a bit of TLC and a bit of a shady spot to try and get some sort of budding from it. Yeah, so anyway, plea again, if you've got one of Tony's trees and you haven't updated me and you want to be involved in this ongoing celebration of Tony's trees, then you know my email address, expressionsbonsai@gmail.com. Send me through pictures. If you've got bits of video, send me through video. But from Xavier, feeling privileged and humbled to be able to work on his trees. So thanks very much. Happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.